Good morning, good afternoon, happy COTA Sunday, says Liz. It's Chris Durrell here. I'm here for Jagerbaum's Fantasy Sports to bring you another DFS NASCAR Raceday live show for the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. We got a little road racing. James, welcome to the live show. Thank you for showing up. Give me you guys' winners in chat here real quick. Who you think's going to win here? You think it's going to be a road course guy? We got things going to be a little bit different here. Going to wait for a few more people to get in before I bring up the cheat sheet. Back to no stage breaks. So they're not going to be throwing the caution flag for stage breaks this year. That's going to change some of the strategy. And that's one thing I kind of wanted to highlight. I'll do that kind of right off the bat here. I got a little graph from Fox Sports inside the race. They were looking at it here. So what this kind of represents on the screen is the stage breaks. The yellow lines here are the stage breaks. So what that is showing you, this is cars obviously going to pit road early for strategy, is kind of the way they have been doing things at these road courses, because you have designated strategies, obviously, because you know when the stage breaks are going to be, so you can kind of play it that way. So they're going to get fresh tires, so the start of the next stage, they're out there with the fastest cars. So that's one thing that you're going to see change here this year, simply because they're not having these stage breaks at these road courses, which brings, I think it's been 7 years since they had stage breaks before there was stage breaks at the road courses. And it changes the strategy. So you'll hear a lot listening to shows, listening to the TV broadcasts and stuff, talk about running the strategy backwards. And pretty much all that means, we'll go here to the second graphic, is this is the designated. You start at the back, you think, okay, so what he explained in this video was 25 laps, somewhere around there is what you're going to find for your stage breaks. So this would be your first one here. And then going back once more, this is your window for the first one so that you can do it in a two-stop race. So that's kind of where that's going to change, obviously, depending on the race and where cautions fall. But it isn't a designated strategy that you can just come into this race with right off the bat and think you're going to, just kind of roll with that, and that's the way it's going to go. So it kind of, I think what it's going to do is we're going to see the stronger teams really have more of an advantage in terms of road course racing. We've seen AJ Allmendinger obviously come through the field yesterday with the best car in that field for sure. So it's interesting what we're going to see happen here in the Cup race today. We got some drivers at the back, or one driver at the back specifically, and Blaney. That's probably going to be very, very chalky. We'll talk about that using the cheat sheet here shortly. But it's interesting to see what you guys think it's going to do in terms of the overall strategy that we're going to see this week compared to road courses in the past, or even specifically this race. What do you guys think it's going to do? You think the stronger teams are going to be ahead? Do you think it's going to help? Maybe the lower teams. What are your guys' thoughts on that? All right, so I'm going to bring up the cheat sheet here now. Give me just a second, and I will bring that up. So this is going to contest selection. We'll talk about that here shortly. We're going to use the fantasy matrix here this week. So like I said, we've got Ryan Blaney starting 38th. He flat spotted in the very first turn in his qualifying lap. Looked like in practice he had a strong car. I think he was 12th, 14th in 5 lap averages, 6th and 17th. Coming up here, 6th and 17th at this track in the past. And I just have to bring up another screen here. Just give me 2 seconds. Having a technical issue here. I will get that up here in just a second. Okay, plus he was 12th there. All right, we're back. There we are. Okay, so he looked like he's 38. So this is one spot where I'm going to use the fantasy matrix a lot. What happens is I'm looking at how many points they need for 4X, 5X, and 6X. So that kind of compares you. Christopher Bell is a nice one to compare him to because there's about 24 spots difference in terms of place differential here. So what you're looking at for 6X, which is kind of what you're looking for, and this range of pricing in terms of GPP, you're looking for 54, 55 points, we'll say, for both of them. Well, Blaney starting 38th needs only a 13th place finish, and he can hit 6X. With a win and no dominator points, Blaney can get up there for you. He can put together a 9X return, and if you get some dominator points, you're looking at probably 10X plus. So you can get that together as well. So I think Blaney's going to be, if you're looking at cash games, he should be probably around 80%, I would think, is probably the fair estimate in terms of what should happen for the cash games. GPPs, you're probably looking at 60 to 70%, I would think, probably on the safe side. So what you're going to want to do, if you're playing them, you probably want to be overweight. And it all depends on how many lineups. If you're fading, if you're playing a 3 max, I wouldn't go underweight. I'd probably just fade. And if you're playing him, I'd probably go overweight in 20 max. I'd probably look at being a little bit overweight if you're using them. It's okay to probably underweight, maybe in the 30 to 40% range. Maybe even 4 to 6 of your lineups with Blaney would be a good fade. Say 14 lineups going against him, because if something happens there, definitely we could definitely see that come out ahead as one of the top ways to go about it for the slate. Interested on what your guys' thoughts there on that as well. I think I'm probably pretty conservative in terms of that ownership projection. But then we've got all these other guys. You got Kyle Larson starting 13th, Kyle Busch starting 12th. We've got Chastain starting 12th. So I think if you want to fade and you want to go up to the top and you maybe want to grab 2 of these top guys, this is just GPP, obviously, in terms of strategy. But if you can pair one of these top guys with him, my favorite out of them would probably be Reddick. If you're looking for some dominator points in this race, he's starting 2nd. He's been 5th and 9th here at this track. He's been the best on the road courses last year. 2 wins, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. And then sliding over, he was first in both 5-lap and 1-lap rankings there. So he would definitely be my favorite dominator for this race. Second, you're looking at Chastain. He's 2nd in my overall rankings here, starting 12th. He won the last race here, 4th in the first one. So he makes a lot of sense. Kyle Larson's got a 2nd. The second race, Kyle Busch and Larson both had bad finishes. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these drivers up here. But what I would try and do, if you're playing a lot of Blaney, I would maybe in 20 max, say you're using Blaney in 6 to 8 lineup, in 20 max, if you're using him in about 12 lineups, looking at that, boat field average type thing, I would probably go with maybe pair him with Larson 2 or 3 times, Busch 2 or 3 times, Chastain, whoever your favorite is, maybe 3 or 4 times, and go that route. And that's kind of the way I would go with my lineup builds today. Going down to some guys kind of in this medium range, I think we got to look at Austin Cindric. He's been awesome on the road courses, 8th. So we picked up a top 10 here at this last race here. Alex Bowman would be more of a GPP play. I don't think he's going to be a dominator. He's had a lot of success here, but if he does become a dominator, I think he could maybe be and finish with a top 5. Let's go look at that right now. Get rid of this taskbar here, which isn't allowing me to go to the next tab. The problem today. See, this is nice when I have Dane on the show, because I can go and fix these things while he's talking about them. All right. So if we slide down and look at Cindric and we look at Bowman, if Bowman gets a top 5, you're looking at 40 points, starting 6th. So that's going to be a little bit under that 5x threshold. So that's not going to quite make it there. So you're probably looking at a top 3 finish if you're not getting any dominator points. If he's getting some dominator points, I think a top 5 is going to be fine there. For Bowman. The reason I don't think he's going to get a lot of dominator points is just simply because of the practice speeds. 20th, a little bit better in terms of the 5-lap ranks, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at that. Denny Hamlin's pretty intriguing, but he hasn't really been outstanding here at this track or on road courses whatsoever. No top 10s last year in road courses, 5 top 20s. This range is very intriguing, the Truex, Harvick, Keselowski, Buescher range. I think I'd probably go with Buescher. He's the cheapest of them. He gives you the most place differential points. They all kind of about have the same, median average on this track. Buescher's been the best with 5 top 10s and 6 races on the road courses, so very consistent. Harvick would be number 2, again with consistency, and then Truex and Keselowski kind of as your GPP plays there for that. Just a second, I'm going to bring up another tab that I had up. And it's not loading now. What a day. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so down in the value range, Eric Almirola starting 39th. He's got a 19th and 26th here. He's going to definitely take on some ownership. Practice was terrible for him as well. We got Ryan Preece in here. I think with one of the narratives I'm looking at today is with these no stage breaks, the race could go long. Some of these road course races without the stages have, one, maybe 2 cautions maximum. So there's some long runs. It's a technical track as well. It's, more for the F1 and the sports car type road course races. So I'm looking at more of the experienced drivers. If it's between 2 drivers down here, especially in the value range, I'm going to go with the experienced guys, just because stamina could come into play here for sure. So that's one kind of narrative I'm looking at. It doesn't really factor into the model whatsoever, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Bubba Wallace showed a lot of practice. Unfortunately, he's starting 11th, so that's going to be more on the GPP side of things. In terms of that experience, one guy I'm looking at is Michael McDowell. He's finished 13th and 7th here at this track last year. He's got 4 top 10s in 6 road course races last year, 5 inside the top 20. So there's a lot of consistency there. He's starting 20th. So that gives him a pretty good floor here. And he was 6th in practice, 7th in 5-lap averages. He's got that minus 14 in terms of that practice and qualifying differential. If we go look at him on the matrix here for DraftKings, 5X is kind of what I like to look for in this high 6, mid 7K range. So 35 points. So we're really looking for about a 14th place finish for him to be satisfied. And then even with outside the top 10, he can still give you a 6X return, which is really good for a 7K driver. So that's one thing I'm looking at there. Coming down low, you do got some place differential down here. I'm not sure how much of it I want. Any thoughts on Taylor since the Elliott car? Yeah, we talked about Taylor a little bit in chat this morning. It's very risky at his price. If he was cheaper, I think I would like it if he was maybe in the 6K range. He does have Chase Elliott's car, which obviously we know Chase Elliott has been the best road course racer out there. But even so what he needs kind of down in this range, you are looking for about a 5X return, maybe kind of between 4 and 5, somewhere in there. So you're looking for about, I'd say 33 to 35 points. So a 6th, 7th place finish would still get him there. I think that's still pretty risky with him in the Cup car. I think he's probably more of a 10th to 15th kind of floor driver, I think, is where I have him. I'm being very conservative, possibly. The upside, I don't think he's probably going to sneak into the top 5 unless something crazy happens. So I don't really see a 5 to 6X upside there. So I really don't see it for GPP. There being a lot of upside unless he wins the race and leads. So if you think that's a possibility, then yes, but I don't think the ownership is going to be very high at all, especially with Buescher, Kozlowski, Harvick, and Truex, who we talked about. Just you get that place differential, you get the experience on the track. I know Taylor has experience on the track, but I mean in a Cup car on these road courses, especially with how many more there has been in the series as the car has kind of progressed into this new car. So that's kind of the way I break that down. All right, that kind of sums up my player pool for this race in terms of bets. Joey over Cindric. Let's look at Joey over Cindric here for you. So Joey starting 15th. He's got a top 10 car. He didn't run any 5-lap runs. He was a top 3 here. I think you are correct there. I think Joey Logano is where you go. I know the model doesn't like it right now, but it's not factoring in full place differential and everything there. It's still averaging in, it's a small sample size in terms of the track history. So that's going to kind of maybe play with the overall rankings a little bit. But yes, Logano definitely makes sense here over Cindric because he gives you more upside for sure. Cindric needs a lot to go right. I think Cindric's more of a one and done or a bet today. I don't think he's going to be a dominator or lead enough laps to where like a 6th or 7th place finish at the end of the race is going to keep him maybe in the top 5 of DraftKings scoring. So I do think Joey Logano is the safer play here and has more upside, obviously, too. So, yes. So if there are any more questions, fire them away. I'm just going to pull up a couple of bets that I think I'm going to run today. Like Tyler Reddick is one thing I noticed on PokerStars today is where I put some bets in is Tyler Reddick is the favorite to win the race at plus 350, but he was plus 220 or plus 225 for a top 3 finish. And Kyle Larson was the favorite for a top 3 finish at like plus 185, I think it was, or something like that. So I think instead of playing the Tyler Reddick win, which I think it's a very good bet as well, but plus 350 is in there. I do like the top 3. You're not losing a whole bunch of value and you're gaining a bunch of safety there, getting those extra 2 places in there as well. So I do like that if you are on a site where you can get the top 3s. I definitely like playing those as well. Cindric, I think plus 650. I'm looking for more of a longer shot. I think Allmendinger is plus 1,000. That makes a lot of sense. Really good on he got a 5th in 2021 here, 2 top 5s in the road courses last year. So I think he makes a lot of sense. I think Daniel Suarez plus 1,000, kind of it's in that same range as Allmendinger. Not as much success here, but it's kind of an outside. If you're looking for a longer shot and you do think Joey Logano can get up there, like 3rd, he was close in 2021. He is, and I always seem to be betting on Joey Logano. He was my outright winner last week. He's plus 4,000 this week, so I guess I'm back on the Joey Logano betting train here this week. So go 22 on the road courses. So those are some bets. Thoughts on the 6? So Brad Keselowski starting 30th. Yeah, I mean, that car looked pretty darn good last week. Road courses last year, he finished 5, so he was safe. He seemed pretty safe, 5 of the 6 inside the top 20, starting 30th, 14th and 19th here. So I think that does make a lot of sense for sure if you want to go that route. Starting 30th, I don't know where the ownership is going to be in this range of 4. Truex is probably going to be the lowest. It gives you the least place differential. I think it's probably going to be Buescher, Keselowski. Between these 3, it's going to be pretty darn close, probably in the 30, I would think 25 to 40% range, somewhere in there, and they're probably going to be 2 to 3% difference, I would guess. So it's going to be a heavy range. So if you want to make some pivots there, definitely go with the more expensive driver who's got less place differential right above here in Hamlin, Briscoe, Truex. And then you get into these guys that are going to need dominator points. They're going to be lower owned as well, because I think you're going to be looking at 30 to 40% probably of these 3 guys here. And then, you got place differential down here below too. So, yeah. So a balanced lineup could definitely be good. You're going to see probably lineups with all 3 of these guys jammed together with one of these guys. You can go Allmendinger, you can go Blaney with these 3 guys right here. And if we run that in here and go Blaney, Harvick, Keselowski, and Buescher, still gives you 86 average. I mean, that could be a very, very, very chalky core right there. It gives you a ton of place differential. You can go up and get Reddick and give you that dominator points. And then you kind of come down here and you've got a choice of these guys, and there's that McDowell. That could be the very chalk lineup right there. There's the one lineup I'll give out. It's probably going to run that in one of my 20 max, but definitely going to be chalky because it gives you the dominator, plus some really experienced drivers on road courses, have track history here, and it gives you a ton of upside. So, yeah, that's probably one of the lineups I'm going to run in terms of contest selection here before we go. This is the $4 Chrome Horn I'm going to be jumping in. The $3 3 Max is the Hot Rod, and then I'm going to be looking at probably the $12 single entry. And might sprinkle in some qualifiers as we get closer to lock here as well. See how much time we have. All right. That pretty much covers everything for today. We'll be back next week. We should have Dane back on the show. If not, I'll be here solo again. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck today. And if you need anything else, make sure to head over to Discord. I'm in there all day hammering me some questions leading up to lock, and we'll see you in Winning Picks later today. Cheers, everyone.